Alright, this is the 1.5 to 1.8 video. If you have any questions about it, make sure you email me before we take the test. So in problem number 1, it gives us an equation of a line and wants the parallel that goes through the negative 3, 2, and we also want it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to put the original problem into y equals mx plus b format, and the slope is negative 2, and the 1 is really something I do not care about. So since we're talking about parallel, we're going to do the same slope, so I'm going to write down y equals negative 2x plus b. At this point in time, I'm going to put this in for x and this into y to find out what my new b actually is. So y equals negative 2 times negative 3 plus b, except I shouldn't have written down y because y got replaced by a 2. So 2 equals negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6 plus b, subtract 6, negative 4 equals b, but I'm not finished until I give the entire equation. So this negative 4 replaces the b up here. Y equals negative 2x minus 4. In the second problem, we have the same type of problem, except for we're looking for a perpendicular instead of parallel. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to once again get the y by itself so that I can find out what the slope of this is. So we got negative 2y equals negative 4x minus 2. Divide both sides by negative 2. And we wind up with y equals 2x plus 1. Now this 2 is not going to be what we use for the next one. The 1 we still can cancel out, but we want the opposite reciprocal. Because 2 is positive, the opposite is going to be negative, and since this is really 2 over 1, my new slope is going to be negative 1 over 2. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus b. Once again, I need to put in my x and my y values. So y equals, once again, y should get replaced by the 4, equals negative 1/2 x plus b. Now when you add 1/2, I'm going to put this into improper fraction. And so I get 9/2 equals b. Once again, we need to put that back into the original formula. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 9/2. In problem number 3a, we are trying to figure out whether it's parallel, perpendicular, coinciding, or none of these. Parallel is the same slope with different y-intercept. Perpendicular is opposite reciprocal. Coinciding means same slope, same y-intercept, which means that if you get either of these, then the answer is what I said, parallel, perpendicular, or coinciding. If it's not, then the answer is neither. So in order to get y by itself, I'm going to add 8x and subtract 1 from both sides. So I'm going to do plus 8x minus 1 to this side. So y equals 8x minus 1. In this problem, I'm going to add 8x, and I'm going to add 12. So on this side, I have y equals 8x plus 12. These are the same. These are different. So my answer is parallel. In part B, the first problem is already finished. We have a slope of 3. For the second equation, I subtract 3x. I get y equals negative 3x plus 2. And this has a slope of negative 3. And even though these are opposite, they are not reciprocal, so my answer here is neither. Alright, and then in part C, the first equation is already done because this is in y equals mx plus b format. The second equation, I'm going to subtract 2x and subtract 10. And so we got 10y equals negative 2x minus 10. And then I'm going to divide everything by 10. And I get y equals, this reduces to negative 1/5 x minus 1. So 5 and negative 1/5 are my opposite reciprocal, which means that this is perpendicular. So I took a picture of this problem so that we can have this be. So I can show you that I'm going to change this to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And these are the numbers I'm putting into L1, and these are the numbers I'm going to put into L2 after I clear out L1 and L2. Once you put those numbers in, you can go to Stat, Calculate, 4 to get the equation of the line, and we don't have to store this because they're only looking for the equation of the line. And when I do this, it tells me that A is equal to 1115.9 and B is equal to 19,522.0, so I can just leave it as 9,522. So, still in my A answer, so we'll get to B in a second. I'll leave it as 2011. I have 1,100. Y equals 1,115.9 x plus 19,522. Now in part B, it asks for what happens in the year 2011. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2011 and subtract 1994 to see which year we're in. And that is year 17. So I got y equals 1,115.9 times 17 plus 19,522, which gives me an answer for B of 38,492 visitors to predict. So like in class, I'll do this in 3 different colors ink. So first it says that y equals negative 1 for x is less than negative 2. So y equals negative 1 is a horizontal line at negative 1. And because we have this right here, we are going to go to the left of negative 2. So I'm going to erase all of this. And I'm going to put the open circle at -2, because that is the x value of -2. Now for the middle, I got y equals -3x from -2 to +2. And so when I graph -3x, I start at 0, 0. I go down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1 again, and so I'm going to because we're only going from -2 to +2, there's -2 and +2, and then I have the solid point at, okay, I redrew that line a little bit straighter so that it's better. And so at the left end we have an open, and at the right end we have a closed. So I'm going to make this open right here and this one closed. So we have one more to do, which is y equals x plus 4 when x is bigger than 2. So I go up to 4, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and so on. So my line goes like that. And so we're only talking about the ones greater than 2, which means to the right. So I erase the back half of my line, and this should be an open circle because there's no or equal to sign here. Alright, the last problem on our sheet, which is number 6, is to do y is less than x minus 2 in absolute value. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the absolute value equal to 0, and I'm going to add 2, so x equals 2. Now when I make my little chart here, I'm going to put 2 right there, 0 and 3, so I get numbers higher and lower. So the absolute value of 0 minus 2 is equal to the absolute value of -2, which is 2. The absolute value of 2 minus 2 is 0, and the absolute value of 3 minus 2 is 1, and the absolute value of 1 is 1. So let me put down the points. So we're going to make a dotted line. The reason why we are making a dotted line is because it is less than and not less than or equal to. Now in the y situation, when we are looking at less than, we are talking about down. When we're doing it in the x direction, we're talking about left and right. And so now everything underneath the graph, which pretty means everything outside of the V, should be shaded, and so that is my answer. And that is your 1.5 to 1.8 review.